Hello, my drawing and sketching students. Today I'm going to show you how to do 4 thumbnail sketches, which are not really the size of your thumbnail, but that's what we call little versions of the big thing. Like if you're on the computer, you click on a thumbnail, that's like the little picture, and then you click on that one and it's bigger. Well, artists call that a thumbnail too, but we use it more to do little sketches. If we're going to do a big finished project, we might as well start with some little ideas before we waste a lot of time and effort. So today, in preparation for doing your final still life project, I'm going to ask you to do 4 small thumbnail sketches. So first of all, let's talk about setting up a still life. Let's take a look at a couple slides here. All right. Number 1 step is to gather some stuff. So here's just a pile of stuff that I found around my art room. If you were in 1208 Salem, we'd be finding all kinds of cool objects to stack in a fun way. And generally I have about 4 or 5 different still lives set up around class. But given our current situation, you have to set up your own still life, which can be kind of fun. Try to find objects that are interesting, not too difficult to draw. Think about your comfort level. You could do something thematic, like maybe it's all toys or things from your youth, or it's all sporting things. You could go in the garage and make it all tools, or it might be all kitchen items like plates and bowls and fruit and veggies. But having something thematic is sometimes more interesting than what I've got here, which is a roller skate and some grapes and a light bulb. But I found these objects interesting personally. So find your objects, gather them all up. Definitely make sure you've got some kind of fabric. Okay, you can make that fabric nice and flat, but it just kind of makes for a nice, surface and gives everything it kind of unifies everything because you have this color throughout your work. Some people will put another piece of cloth in the background that they tack up to a wall as well, so you have a contrasting color. But it again is a really nice unifying element. It's early. All right. So the next thing I always look for is like some kind of a box, something to give things a little bit of height. You don't want everything just sitting on one flat surface. You want things to be higher and lower. So it could be a couple books or an old shoe box or something, or a bowl that you turn upside down, but just so you can get variation in height. So here's the first one I set up. And actually, I just set it up once, and I took different pictures. I walked around the still life and looked at different angles. I was really trying to avoid anything really interesting right in the middle, but thinking about my rule of thirds, where I might have more interesting things off to the sides. Here's another one from a different angle. And you might end up with something in the middle, but I hope it's not the most interesting thing. I mean, personally, I find this thing interesting, or this flower up here, or this bottle top, or these shining grapes, or this thing. But, just a boring wood, I don't know. So don't worry too much if you do end up with something in the middle, but try to make whatever is more interesting end up in your hot spots or your ideal emphasis areas. Don't forget, you can go vertically too. This doesn't just have to be horizontal. So here's another. Again, I think down here it's interesting, up here it's interesting. I'm really thinking about that rule of thirds and trying to avoid anything right in the very middle. And here's just one more, just a different view. So your task is to do this. Let me bring up my document camera really quick. By the way, I'll show you really quick. I use my rule of thirds on my camera, which might be something you want to do. Just open up my camera here. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I've got grid lines on my camera. So it might be different for you. I think if you have an Apple phone, you're going to have to go into settings and then go to your camera. For me, I go to camera first, and then I go to settings, that little gear, and I just scroll down to grid lines. Oops, I just turned it off. But you can end up with grid lines right on your phone so that when you take photos of your still life, you can try to get things to line up right on those intersections and avoid having something in the middle, okay? So you can take different pictures of your still life, and then you could work from your photos if you like. I mean, me personally, I would rather sit in front of the still life and really look at what I'm drawing because I'm an artist and I really want to see all the details and I like the challenge. But if you want, you could just have your phone next to you. You could even pinch and zoom and move things around. Let's get that glare off of there until you find, yeah, I really like that composition because nothing's in the middle. Rule of thirds is good. I'm ready to go. So what you want to do is take your sketchbook and just draw a big T like this. right through the middle. So you've got 4 different quadrants. And this should allow you to do both horizontal orientations as well as vertical. So here I have a vertical one, and I could just set this right here. And the idea is just to do what's called a contour line drawing. Okay, I don't need to do all the coloring and all the shading and all the details and all these textures. Oh my gosh, that would take forever. I'm just trying to just capture the basics. So I'm not going to lay all of this out, but I will just put in a few basics, because really what I'm really after is just making, seeing if this composition works, how well I like it. You may notice I started with something that was up front and easy. And here we've got this old school pencil sharpener. Again, I'm not too worried about details. I don't need to throw all these little circles in and stuff. I'm really just trying to figure out, how would this look? Where do these things live? Got a bowl down here. This big leafy guy coming out of here. So it really could be kind of loose and sketchy like this. Obviously, I'm not looking and saying, okay, now I got to draw that grape perfectly, and now that grape perfectly. I'm just going to throw in some grapes so I kind of realize where they live. Maybe part of this candelabra over here. Just thinking, like, would this be a good composition? I also wanted to ensure, something I forgot to mention, that you want to have at least 5 objects. I mean, minimum. I've got a lot here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would say have at least 10 personally, but if you have less than 5, it's not really a party yet. But also, you want to have some background. I have some blinds here in the background, but something that can create some space. So foreground, something down here in the foreground, a middle ground, and a background. That's going to create that space and depth that we're looking for. So there's one. I could probably take it a little further. Obviously, there's more to do with this leafy element and whatnot, and this flower. But I'm trying to see, like, is that a good composition? Would that work? Can I tackle something like this? How do I tackle something like that? Where do I start? Does it have foreground, middle ground, background? Do I have enough objects? Well, I'd like you to try 4 of those. Let's go back to presentation really quick. And you'll end up with something like this example here. So you're going to draw 4 thumbnail sketches. You could use, well, back in the day, we used to use a viewfinder, a little piece of cardboard to look through, but use your phone if you'd like. But at all times, think about the rule of thirds. You don't have to draw these grid lines. I just drew that so you can kind of see that I was trying to get things to line up on those ideal emphasis areas. If it helps you, you can, pardon me, you can dash in or dot in some little lines if that helps, but that's not necessary. But what I'd like you to do, this last bullet point, is to shade your favorite composition. Whichever one you look at and you go, yeah, that's got potential. That could be my final project right there. Go ahead and shade that in. You don't have to add tons of detail and tons of texture. This shouldn't take you more than maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you're really into it. In this example, 4 different boxes were drawn. That's another way you can go. But really, I'm looking for something like this, where you just divide your page into 4 sections, do 4 different thumbnail compositions. Think about, horizontal versus vertical. Think about your space, foreground, middle ground, background. Shade your favorite one in. I don't know that this is the best one that was shaded in, as I just can't stop looking at that pair because it's right in the middle. And that's kind of a no-no. We don't want something right in the middle. All right. I'm going to share with you now really quick a video that I found online that's going to say everything I said, but in a different way. And so you just don't think that this is all Mr. Linderman's way of doing things. Just kind of want to reiterate how others do this. So let me share my screen with you and check out this video.
I can use this to set up a little still life and use my lights here, my lamps and everything, to kind of light this up. Probably in the future for painting as well, but I'm going to show you how to draw from life. You don't have to go outside on your porch or look out your window. If you'd rather do something like a still life, doing jars, or I got some fruit here because a lot of you know I'm a big fruit eater. I got, a ton of fruit in my kitchen, so I just went and grabbed a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to show you guys how to set this up. So you can do this on your kitchen table if you want. Just get like a cardboard box. I'm going to use this to kind of elevate some things. So I'm going to put this down first. I haven't really pre-set up anything, so I'm kind of just going to do that in front of you guys. Hopefully you don't mind. We can enjoy the creative process together. So what I have here is just this blue sheet. It's actually a Snuggie. I just saw it laying around, so I was like, this will be perfect. It's big enough. I have some sheets over on my wall, but they're black, and I have a red sheet on the floor to protect everything, so I couldn't really, use those for this video. So I'm just going to use this blue Snuggie that we never use. So there you go. Now you have, see, if you had like a cardboard box or anything to elevate, some items, works really well. And also, if you had another sheet, like a different color, tack it on the wall behind it to get some different values going, different colors, especially if you're painting, you want some different colors. So really this video is actually about painting and drawing, but it's going to be in the drawing series. But I mean, setting up a still life, I mean, I can go across, a bunch of different areas. So I mean, I have a bunch of different fruit here. Let's just try it out. I got some apples, grapes. I think the grapes will be cool. I don't really have any good bowls. I just have these plastic ones. But I mean, it is what it is. Who knows? Let's see how this looks. I may zoom in here eventually. They always have the grapes flowing over the bowl. Throw some bananas in there like that or something. The one thing is you want to have nice composition. So this could actually take a while to figure out, but I'm just going to throw something up here quick. Just give you some ideas. See, this is where you can have stuff at different levels. Have it real nice looking eventually. Throw some lemons in there. Apples and oranges, etc. I mean, you could even have the cool thing is probably to have the jar back here. Something like that. Whatever, you can do whatever you want. It'd be nice if I had some flowers to kind of like vine around everything, kind of tie it all together. But you can use all different kinds of bottles and stuff, and just make stuff different heights, different shapes, and have some nice lighting. I could really light this up nicely if you give me just a second here, folks. All right, so there we go. There's something. My lamp's kind of way too tall for this, so it doesn't really work out as well. But you can see, you can get some nice, lighting effects. It just depends on what you're going for. There's some more balanced lighting there. So you can make it look really nice. Try to get some nice dark shapes, all different kinds of colors, just to set up some kind of still life, something to draw. And with this, you can draw from any kind of angle. If you just pull out a chair and, you can view it from over there, you can view it from over here, straight on, move things around, play around with everything. That's the cool thing about setting up a still life is that the possibilities are endless, If you don't want to draw bananas, just throw in something else, I mean, you can do whatever you want. You don't even have to do with fruit or anything. It's just something I had laying around. And that's kind of what I want to encourage you guys to do is to do what works best for you. And that's the thing about art. There's no rules. There's certain guidelines to some things, but you're an artist. Use whatever tools you have and whatever tools you need to use them. If I was doing this painting, I probably wouldn't make this sheet that blue. I would give it more of a natural look. I would just tie everything together. You don't have to paint what you see. You don't have to do a still life a certain way. You do want to use kind of the guidelines of composition to make the eye kind of move and flow through, using color, value, shape, repetition and movement. But you can use whatever objects you want, especially if it's just
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop that video at this point. Hold on one sec. Let's stop that. So I just thought he made a lot of good points, same as I was trying to. Let me put my face back on the camera here. So again, the main things I want to leave you with is that you want contrast. You want differences. Differences in colors, differences in values, differences in height, maybe differences in texture. Try to make it unique, try to make it fun. Uh, this assignment, drawing those 4 thumbnail sketches, is worth 50 points, and that will go into your virtual sketchbook. So good luck, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day.